Hello, everyone. Today I am here with Amy, and Amy is one of the co-owners of Runnin Free Ranch. Yep, we're here. We are at the ranch, and I'm outside, and I'm very excited about it because we get to show you things that we haven't shown you on this podcast. Yes, it's still about fostering and adoption, and this is the kicker. We're going to talk about the impact of horses on trauma and the brain. What do those three have to do with each other? Just wait and see.
Yep.
All right, first of all, let's introduce Amy. Amy, tell us a little bit about you and how we're on this beautiful ranch today.
So I am a licensed professional counselor. I became a counselor in 19 or licensed in 1994. So I've been doing this for a while, but I haven't, the horse part has just started in about 2010. The ranch actually started though in 2015. So in 2010, I was beginning to learn more about how to partner, incorporate horses as a part of the healing process for individuals, families dealing with trauma. Myself, I guess, real quick, I was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis when I was only 3 years old. I was really sick, and horses were a part of my journey. I loved horses growing up. I had a little Shetland pony. I rode independently, and it was just one of those confidence boosters and just a really healing time for being able to ride and just a connection with the horse myself. And then when I got older, horses were not in my story at that time, but when I married my husband at 2000 in 2003, we both had a heart for helping others. Animals, we love them both, and then my love for horses and my husband loved animals in general. Now has learned to love horses as much as I do, or almost as much maybe. But we just knew we wanted to help others and do that together. So horses again just became a part of the healing process of running Free Ranch.
Okay, that's great. So it's been almost 10 years.
It has. It's
10
been
years
10
with the
years.
horses now.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Now, when we talk about horses, the brain, trauma, first of all, we must talk about what's trauma.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, how would you define trauma for everyone that's out there?
Yes. So trauma is different for everybody. It really depends on how each person individually is affected by an event. I would say it's in general, it's an unexpected, out of the ordinary event that brings chaos in your life. It's unpredictable, and that could be a one-time event, that could be an ongoing event. It could happen and start in the womb, like for a baby in the womb. Trauma can be happening even there if the mother's environment is very unpredictable. The baby's experiencing that. The baby may not remember it, won't, but it's still affecting the body of the baby and the nervous system. So I guess that's kind of trauma in a nutshell, and it's very much survival brain. Like when a person is going through trauma, then it's all about survival.
Yeah, they have to find out a way to cope with it.
Right.
So, and what I love is that you brought out to us that trauma occurs from the womb.
Yes.
I mean, before a child is born.
Yes.
So when we talk about serving children from hard places that we do, we're talking about children that's, if they're born from the time they're born as a newborn in the hospital, you can see a child that has been through trauma.
Yes.
Maybe it's a child whose parent has been on drugs.
Yes.
Maybe it's a child whose parents been in just an unsafe environment. The atmosphere, it could be health wise, it could be, the mental part of it, physical part.
Yes.
Drugs, as we know, are one of the most common that we see.
Right.
So all the children that we deal with has been through some type of trauma or not. Well, let's just be real. We've been through trauma.
Right. Right.
We've been through trauma. We can think of it. Might it be a one incident or a temporary situation, long term, but we've all been through trauma.
Yes. Yes.
You've been through trauma.
Correct.
So I think it's safe to say we've all been through trauma, but how does trauma affect our brain?
Yes.
And that's the difference in each and every person.
Yes.
Each and every, not just individual, but in their individual situation.
Right.
Because if my mother when she was carrying me was on drugs, then I'm going to have a different type of trauma than if my mother wasn't on drugs and say I was abused at
Right.
age 2.
Right.
Then my trauma is going to probably look a little different than the trauma from the child
Right.
who, experienced drugs.
Right.
So when you're working with children here on the ranch, and how have you seen, or even through your research, just being educated on how this trauma going to affect our brain?
Okay. So we were meant to have that part of our brain, the survival brain. That was a God given part of us. And when we are in a threatening situation,
Hmm.
a life threatening situation, our brain kicks in, which is in the lower part of our brain. And we either, our adrenaline starts pumping, heart will start racing, all the things that the body does to get ready to either run from something or
Right,
fight it, or
right,
sometimes freeze can be a part of the trauma, that survival response.
hmm,
But once the life threatening event is over, we're meant to like calm ourselves down, normal, kind of go back to that balance of, I know I'm okay now, and we can make decisions in what we call the neocortex, which is the top part of our brain,
right,
and we can decide, okay, the dog's not chasing me anymore, I'm
hmm,
okay, and we calm down and we move on. But when trauma has affected the body ongoing, or even again this one time really traumatic event
hmm,
that maybe the child has not been able to really kind of regulate through, then the brain may stay in survival mode to where triggers can happen that
right,
wouldn't normally affect anybody, another person. That,
hmm,
I mean, for instance, a veteran, if if a loud noise happens, then
right,
a veteran can be just automatically triggered by that
hmm,
because of what they've already been through, and the brain just it's just an automatic response. It's not something that they plan on doing, or and that's part of why we need to know about trauma, because that can take away the shame from it, because
right,
it's not like we're setting out to have these responses. Like
hmm,
even a child who's kind of kind of out of control, like the behavior and
right,
emotions are real big, they're
hmm,
not planning on doing that,
right,
and they're not trying to do that, but it's most likely from past trauma that they need to continue to work through and regulate, and even in their bodies, so they can kind of be on more of that homeostasis or balance, so
hmm,
things don't trigger them so quickly. But it takes time. It's easy for us
right,
to say, yeah, regulate, learn how to do
hmm,
that, but it takes a lot of practice, a lot of time, especially with younger kids. You're really working on body work, like the whole thing of breathing and
hmm,
movement, and just things that help them regulate. They can't always tell you, yeah, that when mommy said no, that reminded me of, when I never got to eat for 2 days or whatever.
right, exactly.
They can't process that.
Exactly. And I love the way that you broke it down for us, because I know you're a very smart lady and you have all these scientific words. So thank you for not using them on us right now, because you made it very simple. If we can just take your dog incident alone and just think about it, when we see a dog for first time, or maybe it was a situation that we didn't realize was there, but once that fear stepped in and we started
Yeah.
running,
Yep.
and when we found out that the dog went away or didn't want us anyway, or whatever it may be, or we got away, then we start calming down.
Right.
And we calm down, we start breathing a little differently,
Mhm.
and we're okay. But it might be another 5 or 10 years when we hear another dog or see a dog that looks like that dog,
Mhm.
and it brings it back to us.
Right.
And all of a sudden, we're fearful.
Right.
So that
Right.
response that you're talking about, if we actually identify that this is what it was, okay, I don't like dogs because I was traumatized
Right.
by dogs at this age. All dogs are not bad, so I don't have to freak out every time I see them. But if I kind of watch my movement, watch my breathing,
Mhm.
then I'll get a different result instead of the next time I see a dog just taking off.
Right.
So
Mhm.
it's the same with children.
Right.
They don't just say, "Oh, here come mommy, let me throw a tantrum."
Right.
Well, not all of them.
Exactly.
Not all of them, y'all. They really don't. But something occurs.
Yeah.
Maybe it's our voice. And I can
Yeah.
recall many times, my let me change that, because you all think I yell all the time. Shh, don't tell my kids. I do not yell all the time. I just have a loud voice, or whatever we like to say. But I did have a child once at one time I can recall, so I won't say many, might be a couple though. And they said, "Mommy, can you lower your voice?" I'm thinking, why? Because when I lowered my voice, you didn't hear me. So maybe now because I'm raising it, you can, but I don't know what it triggered.
Right.
So
Right.
apparently, instead of that child just having a fit,
Yeah.
they learned those words because of our relationship and our
Yeah.
experience and our time to say, "Mom, can you just lower your voice a little when you talk to me or when you tell me that?
Yeah.
Or why are you talking so loud?" We hear that from now and then when we actually have a relationship.
Right.
And when we talk about counseling, it's about learning those skills,
Yes.
learning those coping skills. When I see that dog, what am I going to do next?
Right.
And you talked about PTSD. Isn't that what it is?
Oh yeah.
Post trauma
Yes.
syndrome
Yes.
disorder.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
Post
What is it?
traumatic stress disorder.
Post traumatic,
Okay.
which is trauma,
Right.
stress
Stress
disorder.
disorder.
So
Yes.
you're saying that stress and trauma have a lot to do with each other.
Yes, they
They
go
go hand in
hand in
hand.
hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we are stressed and going through things, then we're dealing with children. We could cause some little traumatic disorder in them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why it's very important that as parents, we kind of check our stress level
Yes.
and
Yes.
how we deal with children.
Yes.
And then we teach the children how to deal
Yes.
with their stress as well.
Right.
And that's what's brought us to this ranch
Yes.
because we learn how to do this. We learn regulation
Yes.
strategies. We learn how to cope. We learned different things about how do you do that with horses because I'm confused.
Okay.
I don't know much about horses, but I think you ride them
Well, they
and you get
can be
on them.
ridden,
Okay, they
but
can be
not
ridden.
what we do
But
here.
you don't. I mean, what else can you do with a horse other than ride? How
Okay.
can it help you?
They are a living being,
Okay.
and they are like they're herd animals, so they actually live in a family themselves. I mean, even though we only have four, so our family here is
Hmm.
small little family. But when they're out in the wild, they have a big herd, and there's like to kind of put it just in a human way, there's a father, there's a mother, there's the babies,
Okay.
and they all have these different um they just have different what's it's not really places, but they all have different ways they interact within that family. So like our horses right now, we know that Zeke, he's our oldest guy, and he's pretty much in charge. He tells the other ones like, "Hey, we're doing this now. We're doing that now."
Okay.
Seven's more like, so he's our second oldest, and seven can be more the playful one and kind
Hmm.
of want to mess around. And then we have two littles that they're little ponies, and so they kind of one is very playful, and one's very much like, I just want to be right next to you. So they
They're
have
like kids.
they are.
Oh,
They
okay.
are.
Okay.
And they're relational. They're very
Hmm.
much relational. And one big thing that we, partner with our horses because they really teach us that whole regulation thing you talked about and co-regulation.
Okay.
Like it is important for parents to learn that they've got to practice these skills and
Hmm.
and no one's perfect. We're not
Right.
going to do this perfectly, but we parents have to practice these things. We can't just tell our kids go do it.
Right.
We got to
Right.
practice it, and the horses help us to learn how to practice it because
Hmm.
once we
Hmm.
regulate, it helps them regulate.
Right.
I mean, the horses, and one horse is so laid back and calm. There's not a whole lot you can do to dysregulate him,
Hmm.
but he can still, and he shows his dysregulation and maybe in a little bit different way. Like he'll kind of maybe push his head on you, and you're like, and so we have to just work on controlling ourselves,
Hmm.
which is a part of regulation, and not we can't control the horse, and we develop a relationship with that horse. And that, it's not a human
Right.
relationship, it's still an animal, but those patterns in that
Mhm.
relationship do show up in human relationships. So if I don't have boundaries, or if I'm so has so much trauma in my life that I have so much anxiety that I really can't stop long enough to connect to anybody,
Right.
then that's that's how we're going to do with the horse.
Hmm.
We won't stop. We're not going to notice what the horse is doing. I have a lot of kiddos that come in so dysregulated that we can't interact with the horse yet
Right.
until we do work on slowing ourselves down
Uh
in
huh.
our bodies and recognizing the calm, to bring ourselves down to a calm,
Right.
more calm level so we can go and work on a connection.
Exactly. And that was the blessing with even my child asking me if I can lower my voice a little because he recognized it.
Yeah.
Okay. He
Yeah.
recognized it because we've talked about it.
Right.
When you talk to us, you bring your tone down
Yeah.
some, so I can hear you. So that was his way of saying, okay, I'm ready to listen to you.
Yeah.
So bring it down. So it's good to know those strategies,
Yeah.
be able to recognize them. So what we're going to do right now, you all, is such a treat. We talked about the brain. We talked about what trauma is, first of all, so you can understand it a little better and recognize it in the children and in ourselves as
For
parents.
sure.
And then now we're going to see how the equestrian counseling
Hmm.
will assist the children in recognizing these things as well.
Yeah.
So, what we're going to do is get on the ranch
Yep.
and get with the horse and go from there.
Yep.
Okay?
All right.
All right.
Hey everyone, me and Nikki are here to kind of just do a little wrap up and some like additional thoughts and comments after being out on the ranch. So as y'all heard, I wasn't there. Nikki got to be on location. I wasn't there that day. And I just really thought it would be great if, well, we thought it would be great if Nikki came on and kind of shared her experience, like what it was like to be there. What did it feel like? What did it smell like? Like, what did it look like? And what were her like big takeaways from just that whole experience? And then I found some fun facts that I thought would be kind of fun to share after Nikki talks. So Nikki, why don't you share with us what that was like, what that experience was like?
Okay, thank you, Sam. I mean, the experience was one of a kind. First of all, I've been on a ranch twice. I've been on a ranch twice. The first time I went with a group of students and we were really just horse riding. So they all got to experience riding a horse around. It was like a school field trip. So it was really fun. It was my first time, first experience on a ranch. So it was just, a lot of land, a couple of horses, and the kids, of course, we were all excited. My second experience on a ranch was when I took a group of our foster children and in our community, and we went out. We spent the day there. We had everything planned where the kiddos get to experience touching a horse, riding a horse, and they just rode around the little corral, the little circle there. And then we had lunch. We talked about brushing the horses and how to take care of horses. And the best part for them was getting into the big pool of water that the horses drink out of, and they went swimming.
Oh,
So some of you out here might remember that day of a swag experience where we went out to the ranch and the children got to swim and ride horses. They had a ball. I had a ball. This experience topped both of those experiences.
really?
So, and I love it because, as Amy described, the ranch is in the back of her house. So when you pull up, it's a beautiful house, a beautiful circular drive. When you go in the backyard, it's a whole different experience. That's even, do I say more beautiful? But it's gorgeous. Okay. So when you go in the backyard, actually the horses are separated with all the fences you would see and imagine when you think of a ranch.
Mhm.
So all the things you see on TV, it looked just like that.
Yeah.
So it was a gathering section in the middle. As you walk into the ranch gates where the horses would be, beautiful big trees. I mean, it was about to rain that day, so it felt nice because it's middle of the summer at that time. It felt nice. The wind was blowing. The sky was changing colors, so it was a lot going on. I had two girls with me who were very, very excited to be there and get to see the horses. So we did a tour of the ranch first. We went into the offices, was able to see the office space. We saw a therapeutic space where they do one-on-one counseling. It's set up so nice, Sam. It is so nice. So, and they were in different buildings. So you do the one-on-one counseling in one building. Then you go outside to a beautiful porch area. As a little sitting area there that's really, really nice. And then where you all saw on the video where we were sitting outside. So all of that was nice. And then in the inside of a second building is where you will find another one-on-one counseling session room. So everything was set up for counseling. And then when you go further into the backyard is where you see the three different areas fenced in with the different horses. And all of the horses are uniquely made and they are set up to provide a certain service. So none of the services are alike. They're all different with each horse. The girls were there and able to actually interact with the horses. Amy told them about the horses. She introduced them to the horses. They were able to brush the horses, stroke the horses. She told them exactly where to touch the horses. So it was a new experiences for from the girls because two of them were there and only one had touched the horse before.
Yeah.
So she had a little cute pony, and I believe his name was Eli. He was really sweet and kind. But she talked to him about just connecting with the horse, developing a relationship with the horse, and actually coming up and trying to establish trust between the child and the horse. And that's what we were talking about when we got into the brain and the trauma, and just experiencing those relationships and being open. You have to, first of all, be aware of yourself. Amy talked to the girls about just self-awareness and how they wanted to make sure that they knew their boundaries, where to stand about a horse, what level, voice level to have with the horse. You know, things that we just kind of take for granted. You can't just walk up to a horse and say, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, you can't do that. You have to actually know the boundaries and know some rules there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. I love, and when I got online and did some additional research like about equine therapy and what it was about and how does it help and how does it work and just how horses have this unique intuition. They're family creatures. So, you know, they have a herd, they have a mom and a dad, and Amy went into all that, but you know, they are made in such a way that they are just calming. It's just the way God made them. And so
Mhm.
they reflect how you're feeling, and then it
Right.
shows you, it's like a visual representation of, you know, how you've shown up. And so I just thought that was so fascinating. Did you witness any of that while you were there with the girls?
Oh, we did. Amy she actually took them through a small session.
Oh, cool.
And in that session, she talked to them about, feelings. How were they feeling? How did it make her feel? How did it make them feel? They each had a different one-on-one lesson with Amy. So you would see just Amy talking with the girls and moving the horses around. The horses also have that intuition if the child is scared, if the child is feeling anxious about anything. So they got a really good feeling of what this type of therapy would do, how it would make them open up. And the girls were able to talk to Amy about their own feelings and express how they feel. And that's huge with our children. As all of you know, just getting our children to talk, getting them to talk about their feelings. So she really focused in on how did they feel at that moment. How did walking up to the horse make you feel? So she made them really just take a mirror and look inside of themselves, and see what, they saw looking back at them. Can you recognize this feeling? How would you, she talked to them about how would you categorize, this type of feeling? When you felt this, what did your body immediately want to do? So she went into those details with them, and it didn't take long. The girls probably spent probably 10 minutes with her each, just talking about they thought the horses. But as adults, we noticed they were really getting deep into feelings. So it was a great experience for me to see them actually go through the process.
Wow, that's cool. That's really neat. I am so I did do some research and I did find some statistics around therapy because I kind of I'm like I like to know the data. So for all of you out there listening who like to know the data, here is some data. Now there was a bunch, okay, and we'll have the link to the website where I'm pulling all this from in the description, so you can go and look at it yourself. But there was a ton of data on how much equine therapy is beneficial. But here's just a little bit. So according to this website that was published this year in 2025, Equine therapy has been shown to reduce symptoms of PTSD in approximately 66% of participants. Equine therapy can improve balance and coordination in 75% of children with developmental delays. So I know that that can also be an issue with the children that we see in the foster system.
Right.
Equine therapy has been associated with a 60% improvement in self-esteem among at-risk youth.
I can see that for sure.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Equine assisted therapy can reduce anxiety levels by approximately 50% in individuals with anxiety disorders. Also a big deal. Equine therapy has been shown to increase emotional regulation skills and 72% of clients with emotional disturbances. So, I mean, how many foster families are listening out there and thinking that's my child?
Yes.
And like that, this would be for them. 68% of children with ADHD displayed better focus and attention span following participation in equine assisted activities.
And you know what? I'm just going to stop you there.
Yeah.
That is huge. Because when you're talking about getting children, a lot of our children today, and not just in foster care, not just, dealing with mental health issues, children today are being diagnosed faster and sooner with ADHD. So when you're talking about focusing, and it could be, a lot of people call it a pop-up world. People refer to it as the microwave world. We expect things to happen in a second really quick because we're getting immediate feedback on everything and the way how fast technology is moving. Then therefore our kids, have a short attention span. But with the horses, they had to slow down. They had to slow down. They had to kind of wait until the horse led them. One thing that Amy did is she allowed the girls to walk around with the horses in a circle. That was the longest, slowest circle. And the reason why is because you can't just drag the horse. You can't just say, come on, giddy up, and think it's just going to start going. So they had the leash and they had to hold the leash in a certain spot and then kind of guide the horse. So it does make you slow down for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And children with SEBRA, they're getting anxious and jittery, like, oh, okay, I usually don't move this slow, or okay, this is something different, or it's making me feel different. And they were very calm and working with the horses, and they expressed how much they truly enjoyed it and how different it was.
That's good. See, that is seeing it in like understanding what it really looks like to get this kind of therapy, because it was kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around it. But hearing that is kind of like, oh, I can see how you doing this action really actually does make you slow down, or it does make you think, or it does make you see visually what you're feeling on the inside, because the horse is just, that's cool. That's
right. And Amy did ask them questions before she allowed them to take. She said, okay, we're going to walk Eli at this time, or walk Zeke at this time. How do you think, Zeke would feel if you just, grab the leash and start walking? Or how would you, you feel? Or how would you go about walking Zeke? So it's a lot of thought process, where they talked about it before it happened, because you are dealing with an animal. We are dealing with humans.
right.
So it's very important that we do take that time out to just think, okay, if I react like this, what type of reaction will I have my child make? Or the child that I'm working with? What type of reaction might they have if I just come straight in and just start fussing, or straight in and start telling them, well, welcome to my home. What we don't do is this, and and have all these rules versus, what, there's so many things here to do on the ranch. You can do, walk Zeke, you can walk Eli, you can brush them, you can do this, instead of, what, on this ranch, these are the things you cannot do.
Oh,
It
yeah.
just changes your
That's so
mindset. Yeah, it just changes your mindset, the approach. So she talked a lot about the approach with the horses. And that means a lot, because now it took away whatever fear the girls were having. Oh, okay, will the horse take off and kick me? Will the horse do this? Because they're not riding the horses, as Amy emphasized. They're actually working with the horses.
Yeah.
And that's different. They're tending to the horses. They're developing a relationship, that connection with the horse, and that helps children learn to make connection with other children, their peers, their human beings they're working with, those that they're talking to.
Yeah.
So it kind of helped them just, let their anxiety down for a second And just know that just like the horses have feelings, you have feelings, humans have feelings, your parents have feelings, your teachers,
Mhm.
everyone's working with feelings. So let's kind of recognize how things make you feel. So then you can start, as we want to call it, reading the room to see
Mhm.
how someone else feels as well.
That's good. That's really good. So the other thing that I thought was really interesting when I was looking at these statistics, and this is where I was going to wrap this part, was
Mhm.
specifically autism. There were some statistics on the autism spectrum and social skills. It said 70% of individuals with autism spectrum disorder experience improved social interactions. Equine assisted therapy is associated with a 50% increase in social skills in children with social communication challenges. Equine assisted psychotherapy results in a 58% improvement in communication and social interaction skills in adolescents. And then the last one is 72% of individuals with pervasive developmental disorders show gains in social interaction skills after equine assisted treatment. I mean, that's life changing. Those statistics,
Yes.
this is not just, oh, this is a good thing that we should do or could do,
Mhm.
maybe would do. This is like life changing
Yes.
statistics for these kids. If you're out there listening thinking this could potentially, or that sounds like my kid, or this is what we struggle with or face, then maybe this is something you should really seriously consider, because it's I mean, the numbers don't lie. And I'll, like I said, I'll link the link. I'll put the link in the description so you can go look at the stats yourself. But talk to Amy.
Right.
Reach out to
And,
her. She's
mhm.
so
And one
kind.
thing I do want to share that Amy shared with us, and I was just pulling it up because I want to read it. Her words were just so powerful. Some things that she talked about is just, and I just took notes here. I mean, literally notes because I work with, children who's I have two autistic children myself.
Yes.
And when we're talking about just, we always refer to social awkwardness, and we all have it, no matter if we have a diagnosis or not.
Mhm.
Some situations we feel more comfortable in than other situations.
Mhm.
And she talked about, first of all, and there are three main things I want to hit on. She talked about the relationships being used as vehicles for change.
Mhm.
When a child experiences a good relationship, it could be with, it can be with any type of, it doesn't have to be a human, I guess is what I'm saying. It can be
Mhm.
with an
Mhm.
animal, it can be a support animal, it can be, just, it can be the horse, a therapeutic animal, just whatever they connect with. When they truly experience a good relationship, they're able to take just that power of how it makes them feel into other relationships. So they are able to change some things. So she talked about believing healing happens in relationships. That's a relationship with yourself, a relationship with God, a relationship with others. And horses help you explore and repair those connections in just different ways through talking and through therapeutic strategies. So if you child is struggling with just forgiveness, or is struggling with accepting that they're not going to be with their mom right now, if they're connecting to something else and talking about it, it just kind of decreases that anxiety about it or that anger because they're able to talk and get it out. So she really wanted to stress just how relationships are vehicles to change, whatever change that needs to be made. And it's the therapeutic horses and dealing with therapy, connecting together is helps a child connect with other people as well, because she talked about just how children feel disconnected, and we all feel disconnected. Well, she loves horses, and she will promise you that horses are masters of connection. That's our biggest thing. They can connect you to the present. They can connect you to your past. You all can, but through the therapy and the talking and just having that comfort of the horse while you're talking, then it can kind of help relieve some of that hurt that people have. And of course, as she talked to us, trauma in the brain. And we touched on that a lot right before we went over to the ranch area, and just understanding that a lot of the trauma that we have through therapy, we're able to get it out of our brain now and expose it so that we can start healing from it. So she talked about that, and it just helps us regulate. Self-regulation, is what we want for all our children. We want the independence. We want them to be independent one day and not be dependent on us. We want them to be just self-starters in life. But one of the main things that all parents want is for a child to be able to self-regulate.
Yes.
Not always have to go to timeout. Not always have to, be told, you shouldn't be doing that, or I'm going to take this away, or withdrawing privileges. We want them to say, you know what? No, I'm not going to make that choice because that's not what's best for me. And that's about self-regulation. Just being able to know when enough is enough and not to cross that line, even though we see it. And I think that that's what I experienced that the horses could really, really help the children with. So I enjoyed my time, Sam, and I was so grateful for Amy. So I'm going to just second and third and fourth that. Please look into Running Free Ranch for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to her, ask for info. She'll be willing to talk to you anytime, I'm sure.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for another great episode, Amy and Sam.
Yes, thank you, Nikki.